Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about a great medication-free option for being able to cope with allergies and sinus infections during pregnancy. And that's using this product called the Sinugator. This is something made by NeilMed. This is the box that it comes in, and it's a really great option. And I love that it actually says on the side, suitable for use during pregnancy. It's just nice to have these little things where people are maybe looking out for us and we actually can see clearly in the description that it's a product we can use safely. I always recommend that you do your own research and your own homework on these kinds of things. Even if the boxes, say something, it's up to us to interpret and make sure that we are sure that what we're using is something we're okay with using, the ingredients, and so on and so forth. Now, I know these are very commonly used salt water rinses for, again, rinsing the sinuses during either an infection or during allergies. And they have lots of products on the market to support with this, all kind of similar to things like the neti pot and that concept of you are flushing out the sinuses with that salt water rinse. And in fact, this is what I have been using in the past, which is one of their more standard NeilMed nasal rinses. You can find these kind of anywhere. But I was recommended to try the Sinugator recently, and I'm so glad that I did. This is the Sinugator. And ever since I got recommended it, I actually even bought one for my husband. I'm getting one for my family, and everyone's getting one. Because I find it works so well. And one thing I want to go into is just a couple of tips on how to use this properly so that you can actually get it to function the right way for you. Because if you go to Amazon, which is where I found this product myself and bought it, it was something like in the range of $20 to $25, might have been like $23, $24 or something. And it was quickly delivered. I think I got delivery the next morning by like 8 a.m. or something like that, because I was close enough to one of the centers that had them in stock. And so I had overnight delivery, came very quickly. That's an Amazon thing, not really NeilMed, but I was so excited when I got it and got to try it out. But if you look on Amazon, the reviews are kind of mixed. There's a lot of people who seem to say that they're having trouble with it functioning consistently. They've gone through several units. They've had problems with consistency. And I was just willing to take a risk because it was recommended to me and I really trusted the person. And I was certain that I would at least give it a try. And I was really pleased with the initial results. So when I got it, I'll show you a few things about it, but I did experience some of the inconsistencies. However, I figured out the problem, and it's so simple, and I'm fairly certain that a lot of the people out there who have reported issues or who have returned units and gotten new units were just not aware that there was one really small change that they could make, and the whole unit would function perfectly fine. So first off, it comes battery operated. This is where the batteries go. There's a little block here where you push it to unlock on one side and then lock for the other. So when you get it, you'll get the batteries. They'll come in the box with it. Just make sure that you unlock the little box here so you can actually open it up. It's a little, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit tricky to open the part for the battery. You just got to make sure you push it the right way and wiggle it, and then it'll come out. To be honest, I do not get the impression these batteries need to be changed very frequently. So honestly, I don't mind that at all. Plus it comes with the batteries, which is really nice. So the first thing I did, put in the batteries. Then I always like to rinse things out. So I actually ran the unit with just a little bit of distilled water. I opened it. Well, it comes in it comes in several pieces that you very simply put together. And so this is the container for the water. And some people have said it's a little tricky to see, where you are at in the container. And it's true, just I recommend turning the lights on in the bathroom or wherever. I'm going to recommend that you do this in the bathroom, or at least over some kind of a sink, because it works really, really well. And you will get a lot of water coming out of your nose. So, but I would just say, as long as the room is lit, you just kind of hold it up to the light. You'll be able to see the water line. And so this is one of the pieces. Another piece that comes off is this piece here, the top. So it'll come separate in a little plastic baggie, and you put it together. And then there's this piece right here. And this is the notorious piece that I think is literally the only reason that people have returned this product ever. I wish the company would say something about this somewhere in the instructions, because I honestly think they would have way less returns and way less issues, and customers would be super happy if they just did this one thing. So I'm going to show you right now. This piece comes apart, and it comes separate in a little baggie when you first get it, to keep everything clean. And so I rinsed the little blue guy out, the little water holder, the salt water holder, with some distilled water. And then I experienced inconsistency as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, is my unit broken? But it worked so well when it worked that I was just determined to just return it and get a new unit. And I was like, well, then I'll at least have a new one that works. It works so good. I don't want to not have it. It's worth the return. However, before I put it in the box, I was looking at this, and I was like, I'm just going to try one thing. And I flipped the direction of this little white piece into here. And that one thing completely changed everything. And immediately the whole device started working perfectly fine. I didn't have a single inconsistent use of it. And I had no trouble with suction, because what people were talking about and what I saw was, it was like one time it would work. Another time I was barely getting any water coming out. It should shoot water out. It's like an electric pulsing thing that would shoot the salt water into your nostril. And you really want to get it in there, because it does really come out. And it has, I didn't mention this before, but it has two different settings. So it has this, like, the 3 little water drops on top, and then there's like the 1 little water drop underneath, and depending on the top button for the 3 water drops, so more water, or the lower button for the less water, it'll work that way. But this piece, if I'm going to see if we'll actually be able to show you. So on this piece here, on this side, it's a clean cut white circle. So it's very, very, let me see if I can do this better. There we go. A clear cut. Now, on this other side, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's not a clear, solid slice. There's like some amount of, it's just not, it's not straight. And there's some level of other little bulges and things. And that's perfectly fine as long as you put the straight end into this piece here. So again, the straight end, not this other side where you see this little squiggly thing going on. So as long as you put the straight end into the device and let that squiggly part be the part that sucks up the water, then it will work perfectly fine in my experience. I had the same thing happen when I set my husband's up, because he ended up getting sick after I was sick and had some nasal stuff going on. And so I was like, I have the perfect thing for you. And I immediately ordered another one. But I set his up the exact same way, where I put that very straight cut side into the device and I think it just has to do with the way it suctions, because I think for whatever reason, with the side that's more like kind of all over the place cut, it doesn't create the proper suction, and so it loses it and it doesn't let the water get drawn up. Whereas by putting the straight flat cut side into it, it gets a nice strong suction. And what I'd say is, so far what I've been doing, and it's in the instructions, is 1 salt packet. It comes with the salt packets. So in the box, you get the device, you get the batteries to run it, and you get the salt packets. You can always buy more separately. You don't, and you don't have to go through Amazon for the salt packets. You can get those at any pharmacy, typically, even grocery stores have them now. But if you want the actual Sinugator, the only place I've seen it is on the Amazon website. But they're really quick to deliver in my experience. Of course, that depends on your location and a bunch of other things. But I highly recommend it. Even more over this, I love this guy. I still use this guy on occasion. But I just have to say there's just like something superior to using this little electric one where it like shoots, it like pulses the water up. And I was mentioning, I just use one salt packet. I put the water up to the level they indicate. I use distilled water. So I usually go to the grocery store and I'll buy a jug of the distilled water. You can warm up the water first. And the idea is you want the water to be super clean or pure, so you can always boil water, let it cool down, and then put it in. But I just like to have the least possible contaminants, especially if I'm sick. I don't need more things going into my nose. So I just use, again, like any brand of distilled water at the grocery store, and then one salt packet. I kind of like just stick it in there. I shake it up. The first time I used it, I put a little distilled water in and I rinsed it, and then I put a little distilled water in, and then I ran it so that it would just run the water through. And then I put my salt packet and water in for reals, and like went about my way to go ahead and rinse out my nose and do everything. And I would say start with the lower setting first, especially if you're not used to these things, just because it's a new experience, and you can always, crank it up higher. I will say the water runs through very quickly, so just keep checking it as you go. So if you run the high setting, run it for a couple of seconds and then peek to see how far it went down, so if you need to add some more salt water and whatnot, or maybe you want to pace yourself if you want to use just one container for both the left and the right nostril, however you want to do it. But if you don't want to warm up the water, that's okay too. I personally just keep the jug of water in the bathroom, and then I just set it up every time I'm going to use it, and then that's it. But if you're not used to this, again, it can be good to just use some warm water to be able to have it be a little bit gentler on the sinuses. Also, warm water will help to kind of open up the sinuses a little bit more. I'm just so used to it, it doesn't really matter so much to me. But I think that there is like a physiologic function to using the warm water. Either way, if you just use distilled water, salt packet, stick it in, shake it up a little bit, because you don't want to have like all of the salt hit your nose right away, because it's still like settled at the bottom. It does, when you look at it, it does settle. The warm water helps with that too, to be honest, because it'll help dissolve the salt a little quicker. But it doesn't take very long at all, just to swivel it around a few times, and then to go into one nostril, and then to blow your nose, and then go into the other nostril and blow your nose again. And again, it's great. It's medication free. And that's really nice when you're trying to avoid extra things going into your system and baby's system when you're pregnant. To be honest, this is great for anybody. Like I said, I got one for my husband like right afterwards because he wasn't feeling good. So it's definitely not just for pregnant people, but it's definitely beneficial for pregnant people. And with that, I would just say, for sure, highly recommend, go out and get one. This video is not sponsored by NeilMed, although if you guys at NeilMed ever want to sponsor me, I'm totally open for that because I love your products and I always highly recommend them. But this one is just such a wonderful little gem that I have found, and it's been super beneficial. I'll keep using it throughout the pregnancy just for regular allergies or any kind of sinus discomfort and things like that. With that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you're feeling good, and we'll consider getting this if you're not. And if you are pregnant, good luck with everything that is going on in your life. Take care. Bye-bye.